presentation. There we go. Bright light. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining this morning. I really appreciate it. I heard the party was pretty good last night, so I'm sure this took some effort. So good for you, and I hope I won't let you down with the talk about the art of Womunga. And I will start with a little introduction of who I am. So I'm Derk. I'm 32 years old. I'm living in the Netherlands. And actually, the Dutch embassy, I understand, is a sponsor of this talk. They flew me in and arranged everything, so thank you. I understood that you guys are here in the audience, so let's say hi afterwards. And well, let's talk about me first. I actually studied animation, so this animation festival is also quite nice for me to go back to my roots a little bit. And I'm actually an art school dropout, so I studied animation, but then dropped out to start Paladin Studios. And to give you an impression, this was one of the visual pieces I did at art school. This was an assignment to create an icon, no corporate dudes. That was my stance on capitalism, but at some point I saw the light and figured, okay, let's create a cool game studio, and so I became an entrepreneur. Still not a corporate dude, I hope I will never become one, but at least I now have that company is called Paladin Studios, and that's basically founded in 2005. Our mission is to make people smile. That could be any kind of smile, be it a sweet twinkle, a loud laugh, or an evil dream. And that's the official marketing slogan. But actually, what's at the heart of that, or what's below that, is a magic moment. Because when somebody smiles, you connect with the game that you're playing, or with the movie that you're watching. Last night was Inside Out at the square, and you could see those moments, the magic moments. You could see them happening in the audience, right? Those moments, that's what we're aiming at with our games. And what's special about that is that you remember those for years, and that's quite unique for games, but also movies, maybe even books and certain music. So this is where we are located. We're based in The Hague, that's south of Amsterdam. This is the beautiful city. This is our office. Actually, we share this building with over 100 creative companies. Those are product designers, architects, web developers, all kinds of different companies there. So it's a very creative place, and it's very nice to be there. It's an old cigarette factory, so they completely redesigned everything. And this is the team. So 30 people right now. You can see our own office here. We actually have castle walls, you can see them there, because we are all Knights of the Round Table, Paladin, Knight of the Round Table, that's the idea of that. And we actually have a round table behind those castle walls. 30 people, all different kinds of disciplines. So that's designers, game designers, visual artists, 3D modelers, animators, a lot of programmers, and a small team that does the business side of things, so it's sales and office management, the whole boring stuff, so to speak. That's the idea. Some of the projects we did, this is our debut game title, our first entertainment game, Womunga Pinball Adventures. This is actually the game that I will be talking a lot about. So we will dive into the art of Womunga Pinball Adventures to have a look at the character designs and the world building and so on. So let's have a look at the trailer of this game. character role. Pretty cool game. I still love it. It's a labor of love. We did this as a side project besides all our commissioned work, the work for hire projects that we were doing at the time. It took us 2 years to build. I will come back to this in a little bit. Just to give you an impression of some of the other games we did, this is called Wonder Golf. It is a mini golf puzzle, mini golf game with an Alice in Wonderland theme. Chase the rabbit down the hole. There you go, Wonder Golf. So this was done after Momonga Pinball Adventures, and already we took a lot of those lessons learned from that game to Wonder Golf. And after that we created Rob and Roll, which is also, you can see the similarities of the That's our most recent title, and we have several more in development right now. That's not all we did. We did a lot of projects. We created racing games, visualizations, serious games, educational games here. So all kinds of different projects. But I'm here to talk about Momonga Pinball Adventures. So I will give you an overview of how we got started, what we did, all the challenges that we had, and how we solved them. And also I will give you a little bit of insight into the process behind the scenes of developing the art style, the visuals for that game. And by the way, if you have any questions, it's hard to see your hands, but just if you have any questions, just feel free to ask in between or afterwards. Alright, so it starts with building a game, right? So this is our attitude. We did a lot of the non-game type projects. So we did things like visualizations, training simulators, and we used game technology for that, but it wasn't really games. They were not entertainment, they were not fun in a way. So we said, okay, we're tired of all the boring stuff, let's make a game. Welcome guys, you're right on time. I just got started with the meat of the presentation. Cool, good to see you. Alright, so let's build a game, that was the idea. And we did a lot of prototyping. So from the very beginning of Paladin, we worked on a dozen, or actually multiple dozens of different projects. Ranging from weird physical folding character game to a little mobile game, a lot of different types of concepts. And that was very nice, but it was very unstructured. And this is what we ended up with. We had some snippet of gameplay that was fun, but we couldn't take it further. And then all the time, we basically were distracted by the paying projects, right? The clients, they paid us to do other projects, visualizations or simulators or educational games. And we never finished anything. So that was a very big frustration point for me. So then we said, okay, let's pretend that we're a publisher, a real game publisher, a real game company. How do they do this? And it turns out that they have a process called the stage gate process. So every stage you create concepts, you develop it further, and in every gate you kill the concepts that don't work. So if it doesn't work, you kill the game. Which is sort of already what we did, but we didn't really define it as such, and so we were floating a little bit. it. So at that point we said, okay, let's really narrow this focus down, and we need to create a couple of prototypes and really get started with that, and then turn that in, and then move that through all the different phases and not get stuck in the first phase. So that's good. We did that. I'll show you a couple of prototypes that we did over the years. These actually came after Momonga, but it shows you a little bit of the type of prototyping that we've been doing. So actually this is a puzzle game. This was created by 2 people in 2 days in an internal game jam. So a game jam is a really short period, for example 2 or 3 days, and then you try to make a game concept come to life and make it playable. And these guys, they had a really nice idea for a puzzle type game. So you would walk around in this environment, and then you have to basically get to the exit. So that's one prototype. This is another one, also done in an internal game jam. This is a multiplayer game where you have to kill each other, basically, and you're standing in this globe and you have to try to set up traps and capture flags and basically defeat your opponent. And yet another one. This is a little bit inspired by a game called Flight Control, where you have to manage all the airplanes. In this case, you manage the stream of currents in the sea. So if you swipe over the currents, the boats will follow the current. You have to get them to the right control point and avoid them colliding with each other. And we also did a little prototype which we called Pinball Forever. And Pinball Forever was a very interesting prototype. The concept was that you have this pinball machine or pinball game, but instead of having a fixed environment, you could go on and on and on and on, and your goal would be to get as far as possible. And you can already see the potential and the similarities of Momonga Pinball Adventures. We really liked this, and when we did a playtest at our office, we invited some players to just come over and play. We found that people were intrigued by it, so they could spend half an hour just playing this silly little game that we did. So we were onto something, and that meant that we said, okay, let's build a game, let's build this game. So go for it. So Pinball Forever, endless pinball, get as far as possible. Makes sense, right? It's a good concept. So we started. Developing some concepts. This is an art talk, so I will focus on the art. We figured, okay, Angry Birds is a hit. If we want to do a whole game, we have to have something fluffy, something cute, and with little eyes. So we figured, okay, let's do a pinball game which has a cute character. So we designed these guys. They were generic balls. And we could turn them into all kinds of different outfits, different colors, different shapes, or not shapes, but different looks, so to speak. And we even designed the world around them. So where they live, like a hobbit, a little hobbit village, they would live on the hill. You can see how they, which worlds they could travel to. You can see this is their home with the little hills and how they lived. So it was pretty cool. And I still think it's pretty cool. But at the same time, we got stuck. And we got stuck because an endless pinball game may seem like a really good idea, and it is. Still think it is a great idea. But we didn't understand at the time when we made that decision how incredibly hard it is to create a pinball game. So we have never before created a pinball game in our lives, and one of the most difficult things of pinball is the physics. So the physics are really crucial for having a good pinball game. If you are a pinball fan, you will understand the importance of it. And with our lack of experience, we could not get the physics done perfectly the first time, so we knew we had to iterate on that. But also, what makes a good pinball level? If you have those machines, they are very, very, very sophisticated levels. So these levels are layered, there's a lot of little things to do. But if you think of it, a new pinball level actually strikes the perfect balance between the spots that are hard to reach but still doable. So you need to have full ball control, you need to then design your level around that. This is extremely difficult. And if we would have to create an automated system that generates pinball levels, it was way over our heads. So we started from scratch. And we figured, let's create handmade levels. That was a decision at the time that felt good. I think right now, probably I would have not made that decision because it does open up a lot of full control, awesome visuals, and it opened up the possibilities of characters and storyline and the world. But at the same time, it reduced the possibilities we would have for creating systems and other things that are also interesting. And in particular, it prevented us from going down the free-to-play route. Free-to-play meaning that the game would be free, you would have in-app purchases for upgrading your characters, etc. Which, as most of you, I have mixed feelings about free-to-play, of course. But in retrospect, financially, that would have been the better decision. Nevertheless, we did make that decision, and it did open up a lot of the possibilities that we needed. And we figured, okay, instead of making just a pinball game, let's make a really awesome pinball game with characters and a storyline. So we went ahead and created this gameplay prototype. And you can see the new, how do you call it, the new approach. We had levels, they were handcrafted, so every design of it is done by hand. So there's no modular components, no generic systems or anything. It was all handmade. And already we could see that this indeed works quite well. There's still a lot of problems with the game feel, with the physics. You can see that the ball is sort of floating like a balloon. But we're getting there, and it's you can see the new flying mechanic here, which is also very interesting and it's still in there. And that worked. That's just something that that we could see. Yeah, we can make a game based on this. So let's talk a little bit about the character designs. We started with these little fluffy guys, and when we opened it up to have the world, the level-based system, we figured, okay, maybe those fluffy generic balls are not enough. So we sat down, and again we started from scratch, and we figured out, okay, what can we do with characters if we're not restricted to just generic balls. And the artists back then basically had some crazy ideas. So he figured, okay, what are balls? And he thought of radishes and vegetables, and just maybe build a world of vegetables. I'm not sure if that's the right approach, but it was fun. So we had broccoli enemies, we had gherkins, pickles, tomatoes, onions, radishes, the whole thing. We did try to think about, okay, what else could a character like that do? So if he has the tail or the hair or something, And you can still do a lot of things with that. So that was interesting, but at the same time, let's be honest, I'm not sure if this is going to be have the mainstream appeal that we were aiming for. Right? It's not Angry Birds. Then I remembered something, and these guys I saw on a website called cuteoverload.com. It's a website filled with cute pictures like these of cats, bunnies, little animals, hamsters, and everything. And I remembered these guys because they look like a ball, right? So they're a little bit like ball-shaped. They are very, very cute. And they are actually Japanese dwarf flying squirrels, aka momongas. So these guys are called momongas, so that's where the name comes from. I looked them up, and turns out that they are exceptionally awesome. They are flying squirrels, so they can fly, which is a nice bonus. They have these big eyes, and it's immediately we figured, okay, this is just going to work. We couldn't think of another game that used these animals as the main hero type of animal, and it opens up a lot of things in terms of Japanese culture and things like that. So we went with that, and I still think that's a very good decision. So we did some sketching. We called him Momo, and we still call him Momo. And you can see here some of the ideas for the physics, of course, rolling up like a ball, but also flying and turning into the flying squirrel. This is one of the final concept art pieces, or kind of designs. And we went with that and then did the ball design as well. This is an early 3D mock-up model of the character. You can see the blue streak that we added on his back. And at that point we also started with a little bit of the backstory. So we figured, okay, what are the natural enemies of the momongas? Those are actually owls, because they are nocturnal as well. They hunt for little animals, and so we figured, okay, let's make the owl the main antagonist of the game. So you can see here that Momo basically has a backstory where he gets attacked by the owl. He gets those streaks on his back, and then of course magically he's healed by some wizard type character. That's the panda actually, and that leads to the streak, the blue streak. So the wounds are healed as this blue streak. So that gives him his edge. So we had another. So all these sketches were done by Tom van der Linde, a good artist at our studio. And back then we had another artist coming in called Jimmy de Mesa, and he's a great guy. He's amazing with character designs. And he went along with it. He sat down. He created all the kind of a little bit more approachable style for the game, which is also it's not really Western style. It's not really Asian style. It's sort of in between. It's a very unique mix between those two worlds. And I did a lot of the character designs from there. So we took the original concept and we were considering all the different markings that he could have, like this. But in the end, we just settled on, okay, let's just keep it simple. So we settled on this one. In the end, we for every character we try to make things as iconic as possible. And there you have it. So Momo, the final concept, I think he turned out quite nice. He can roll up like a ball, he can fly, he can bounce around the level and just do his thing. So at that point we turned it into the 3D model. This is an early model, also done by Jimmy. This was the first modeling he had done in a while, so it was a little bit, it started off a little bit messy. But after some revisions and tweaking, we came up with this. So I think you can see the difference here, where we first wanted to try a very low poly model. So a polygon, by the way, for those who are not so technical words, polygon is one of those triangles, and the more triangles you have in a 3D model, the harder it will be for the device to render these models. But we could get away with a little bit more definition in the character, so that's great. And this is the final render of the character. And this is actually, I think this is a little bit photoshopped on top of it, with just some minor tweaks, but it's pretty much also the way he looks in the game. Alright, so of course the hero is not alone. Every hero needs a sidekick. Momo is a very well-rounded character. He's damaged, he has ambition, but we needed something else, something funny. And that's why we invented Fry the Firefly. This guy is completely crazy. He's probably he will be diagnosed with ADHD very soon in the real world, but he's all over the place. He flies around. He can set things on fire. He can help you defeat enemies. And actually, his background training is in a sort of kung fu type training called Fire Fu. And apparently, this is something where if he hears a bell or a gong, he goes completely crazy. So he attacks everything in sight. So in the game, your goal is to ring the bell in the level, and that he will help you defeat enemies, which is quite an interesting mechanic. Some more concept art, and in the end, we settled on a little bit of a capsule-shaped head. You can see the shape has changed a little bit. The big eyes make him very cute, and he's very dynamic and relatively aggressive in that way. And lots of different poses, and this is also same with Momo. This is the in-game model as well, which is a little bit crazy because in the game he's very small, so you see only like 5 or 6 pixels of it. But in some of the cutscenes, he has some close-ups as well. So that's why we figured, okay, let's give him a lot of detail too. Then you need enemies. So we came up with the owl, and these are some of Jimmy's sketches for the boss. I like this one. And he did some sketches. This is General Kuton. We took some inspiration from the samurai warrior culture. Basically, he's a renegade general who lost his path and he has stolen all of the Momongas from the tribe. I liked the designs here, and this is the soldier owl, for example, very cute, very funny. But I wanted Kuton to be a little bit more serious. So if you look at this guy, it's okay, it's good, but he's also a little bit, funny still. He's a little bit silly still. So trying to make him a little bit more serious, we gave him some scars, and took away one eye. Tried to make that a little bit more impressive. Still, this is better, but it still wasn't as serious as I wanted it to be, so we settled on this one. Now, this is pretty scary, right? If you have this flying at you, I would be frightened, I would run away. So we took a lot of time to figure out what is the actual design supposed to be like. If you make everything cute in the game, then it's probably not going to work, because then how are you going to tell the bad guys from the good guys? If everything's evil, then suddenly it loses its charm a little bit. So we try to create that contrast a little bit. And of course, as a little flying squirrel, if you're facing this enemy, those are overwhelming odds. You shouldn't be able to survive that, which is always a good thing in terms of the story. Just to give you a little detail on how much care we took, These are the knives that he throws in the game. And we have 21 designs for the knives, which is also a little bit crazy, I guess. And I think we settled on number 21. So I guess it's good that we made 21 options. Some concept art. So this is the in-game, I think the model and then a paint over of what it would look like in the game itself. Yeah, just to give you the sense of threat and crisis and almost fear, I would say, that we wanted to convey. There's fire, there's a big owl, samurai attacking you with a katana, and you're this little flying squirrel standing here, bouncing around the level. It's not good. But you can beat it. If you're good, you can beat it. This is what it looks like in the level. This is the boss fight where you have to face Kutan. So you can see Fry the Firefly over here, Momo and Kutan at the top. There's several phases to this boss fight. In the end, he also summons owl soldiers as well. So it's tough. I dare you to try it. And then, of course, there's no hero without the gatekeeper and the mentor. So we were thinking of that, and we like the idea of having a panda. Though technically not very Japanese, it's still something that would fit the game very well. And everybody loves panda as well. So we had the idea of this crazy Zen master panda who would be sort of a nomadic type character. He would roam the world, be this medicine man, and he could heal Momo in his time of need and guide him to free his tribe. So these are some of the art pieces we did. We tried a lot of different approaches, but in the end we really came down to the bamboo stick plus the minimal dress. It's almost monk-like. Then Jimmy created these concept art pieces in his new art style. We gave him glasses as well, big glasses, to make him a little bit more silly. I just love these two pictures. Apparently it's not supposed to be him drinking and then passing out in the top right, but it's just fun. It feels a little like maybe he's drunk all the time or something. And he's got these kung fu skills and everything. So this is the model in the game. Again, you can see the poly count is fairly high, but also we needed every bit of it. Yeah, Panda gives you the first challenges and acts as a tutorial almost. So here you see the first level where Panda, after rescuing Momo, he gives the challenge to hit the targets in the field. So those are all the main characters. We also did some concept art for the tribe. So, of course, Momo doesn't stand on his own. He has a tribe of people around him. These guys, they're the people, they're the squirrels you have to rescue. So, on to world building. World building is a little bit of a beast on its own in terms of when it comes to game development. There's some debate about whether stories are necessary in games. For example, Angry Birds hardly has a story. But then again, you could say that building a world before you build the characters is always a good thing. And you can see also with Angry Birds even that they now have the movie coming out. So we, of course, were hoping that we would reach the Angry Birds level of success, and that this could be something that we could have turned into an animation series or a movie or other games as well. So we spent a lot of time with figuring out the world, even though it doesn't really, it's not really present in the game. We still hint to add it, and there's just a sense of that there's more to discover, more to explore. So how do you start building a world? I struggled with that for a while, and then I figured, okay, let's get some help here. I opened up Minecraft, and in Minecraft, if you've played that game, if you walk around, it generates the world for you. And there are tools available for Minecraft that actually let you see the full map of the world that was generated. So I just took the map of Minecraft, I walked around in Minecraft a lot and took the map, and I started painting, sketching over the map, so that I didn't have to invent all the natural aspects. And this really got the creative juices flowing, really helped me to come up with crazy ideas, just to have something random that you can build on. So for example, here's the Owl Capital. Actually, we are starting here, Panda Sanctuary. These are high cliffs, and then we're basically moving to the ruins. There's a bandit camp, the Momonga village, which got burnt down, all kinds of stuff happening here. And actually, the pinball game just covers this area, so it's a very small piece of it. But we already know that if we want, we can create this vast world of characters and nations and conflicts. And if you introduce any character, they have to have a background. So even if you don't tell it, they have to have it. So it was very helpful in doing that. And it turned out that it was also very helpful with creating the initial level map. So this is Jimmy's art for the level map, where you have the level selection on top of it. So you can see. So you can see the starting levels here, where you meet Panda. Then you move over to the Lost City, like Indiana Jones style, and then ultimately to the Momonga village, where you have to face down. You can see Panda here looking over the whole world. So that was cool. And when you have a world going, then next step, of course, is to create some storyboards. We had a story-driven game, so we had a lot of cutscenes where Momo would meet characters and basically get tossed into different environments. So we created some storyboards for that. Very simple. We had to do the dramatic opening scene first, where Momo basically is attacked by Kuton and he's left for dead after that encounter. And the next scene, actually also in the intro scene, is basically that he wakes up, Panda has saved him, and he's now ready for his training. So you can see how that works. These are some screenshots from the opening scene. It's actually quite heavy. Maybe too heavy, I don't know. But I didn't hear any complaints about it. It's quite crazy when you think of the level of drama that you can still add to a otherwise relatively peaceful and not so disturbing game. In this opening sequence, the Momonga village is actually raided by owls, and they take everybody away. So it's a bit of, it's almost an ethnic cleansing that's happening here, which is, in retrospect, maybe a little bit too heavy, but it set the tone, I guess. And for the major cutscenes and moments in the game, we created these concept art pieces that would just show the type of experience we would want to give the players. So you can see Momo here hiding behind a crate, and you see Fry up there who's trapped in a cage, and you see the owl guards in the back who are defending him. So this is the level where you have to free Fry, and then as soon as you free him, he will help you out. So you can see here what that looks like. Then of course, actually let me just skip ahead. So the concept art for this level, this is where Panda gives you the final challenge. Basically, you need to take a stick away from him. You have to take a stick, and that's what this looks like in the game. So you can see the similarities, but also the differences. More art, more levels. Every level is in that respect completely unique, completely handmade. And there's a lot of work that's gone into making that pretty. This is actually the final cutscene. A little bit of a spoiler possibly where you defeat Kutu. So I also wanted to show you how much effort it took some of those levels to be created. This is the final boss fight level. We wanted to make that very special, very intense. So we needed a very good arena, and the environment had to tell the story of how the Momonga village got raided and burned down, basically. So we created several concept art pieces for that. And we had a lot of stuff to figure out. These are all the same stage. We needed the central place to be sort of the danger zone where you could expect to get beaten by Kuton, and we needed something around it where you had the ability to go a little bit. The battle at the back that you needed to hit, and then some side tracks as well. And in the meantime, we also had to figure out what does that Momonga village look like, and what does it look like when it gets burned. So there's a lot of iterations that go over it. Just to give you an example of how many sketches, there were more actually. Then there's other story moments where you go underground. You meet Guaca, the mole rat, who's a sort of a Mexican Peruvian type fellow who lives underground. So you can see him here. It's an early concept art thing. You're sort of trapped in a dungeon and you have to make your way back up. And this is the final stage in that level, final phase. So you can really see the variation that goes into creating all these worlds and levels. In retrospect, I think we should have probably worked a little more with modular components and made sure that we would be able to create more content. Because there's a lot of research that goes into creating the first version of the world, the colors, the setting, the type of cultural artifacts that you would see. But then usually in games they stretch that over a lot of levels. We just did all this art is for one level in the game, so it was maybe a little bit of overkill, but still. Then the level designs themselves. I just showed you some concept art for the final stage. This is the technical side of that stage. So here you can see these transparent walls are the collision walls. The physics engine knows that it cannot go through those walls. So this is where you bounce off of them. And then if you add the boss Kuton to that level, then you can add the logic and the AI of the enemy as well. And we did a lot of these iterations as well. A lot of this never made it into the game. And that's also what I said at the start, it was really, really, really tough to get good pinball levels out the door. Everything again is handcrafted. All the curves and the size of the levels, everything is just unique. Alright. So once we have those core collision elements and all the systems in place, so for example, this is the prison cell underground, you have to open that door, then you go to this room, then you have to make sure that you pull that trigger, that opens those doors, and then you can continue. So that's the game logic. And once you have that, and you're satisfied with the layout, then you can start filling the world with assets and visuals. So we created a library of trees, bushes, stones, flowers, everything that you see here, and then we just basically scatter them throughout the level so that it feels like a world that's alive. Of course, the characters are added, and this is then what it looks like in the game. So here's some more screenshots from inside the editor, Unity editor. And another shot from the game. So you can see the type of work that goes into making all of this. There's a panda here waiting for you. So yeah, that's the environment. I don't have a lot of time left, so I'm going to skip over the interface parts. I think the main message here is that it takes a lot of time and iteration to get the interface right. We spent so much time figuring out the level map, the victory sequence, everything just completely redesigned from scratch, multiple times actually. And in terms of 3D modeling, this is Guaca, the model map, the final version. So this is the character that you see in the game. Here you can see the polygons, again those little squares and things, and basically that's what the model is made of, points, lines and triangles. And then we add the surface on top of that, where there's a texture, just basically a flat texture, and that is like wrapping paper. You wrap that around the 3D model, and you can see here the texture map of it, of the Guaca character. Then of course they have to move, so we create a skeleton. In this case you can see a very bare bone skeleton, and when you move those bones, then basically the model itself is transformed. So that's how it works. So takeaways. We learned so much from this game. I think the biggest takeaway that we had was to work more in modular components. So for any game that we create now, and Wonder Golf was one example, and it worked very well. We would create a level editor, for example, that allows us to very, very rapidly iterate with levels. A level in Momonga took about 6 weeks to build because it was all handcrafted. A level in Wonder Golf, the game after that, it was a more simple game, but still that took us about 2 to 3 hours. So you can see the difference with having a level editor and not having it. So I really recommend to do that. World building and storytelling, I think it's worth it. Even if you have a mobile game or a game in general, definitely worth it. And not in the least because the characters are the most valuable assets in the long term. Look at Rovio again. If they wouldn't have Angry Birds, those little guys, then they wouldn't have a company. So it's something that's very important. Smart tools like Minecraft or Unity, use them wherever possible. And last but not least, don't forget the file. So what's next? We're working on getting Momonga to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. It's still work in progress, but I have good hopes that we'll get there. And we will have several new games coming out this year, so stay tuned. We have a blog where we track everything, and I hope to see you there. So, thank you very much. I'm not sure if there's time for questions. Anybody? In the end, we had 12 levels, and that was also one of the main critical points of the game, that it was a little bit too short. So you can play it in about an hour and a half. those hour and a half will be awesome because you have all this variety and everything. But yeah, it's too short for you guys standards. And the only redeeming factor is that there's a lot of replayability, and you have some endless levels as well. So bonus levels. Really, 12 levels. Any other questions? All right. Oh, yeah. For Momuga, we used, the question was what sort of software did we use to design the models? For Momuga, we used 3D Studio Max, and we currently switched to Maya. No particular reason, except that we like the workflow of Maya a little bit better, and some of the artists are more used to it. And other tools are Photoshop, Unity, so just the standard, the regular, usual suspects. Any other questions? Yeah.
I saw that you guys made use of Paymaker, correct?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
How much work do you apply to Paymaker for programming 6 speed? What do you guys think is looking for Paymaker shows? And do you guys feel like, yeah, this needs to be improved?
So we indeed used Playmaker. That's a visual sort of programming tool, although it's not really a programming tool, I guess. We only used Playmaker for the cutscene timing and script, so the state machine, basically. So that's the only thing. All the other stuff is coded, and I think we dropped using Playmaker altogether. But that's also because Mechanim has some of those functionalities already, where you can have states and timing and stuff. For cutscene, you need to trigger camera animations, you need to trigger text, all kinds of things. That's fine. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Takže tady jsme všichni vedle. Shall I start? Okay. Thank you for coming. So my name is Richard Hogg. That's my name, Richard Hogg. This is an image that sort of represents me. It appears in the opening titles as my kind of logo at the beginning of games